to Newcomer, page 174. She withdrew her face. What could she say? He was right. She had lied to him. She had lied to him about coming home every night. She had lied to him with her reason of why she didn't return, and she had lied to him about their not being alone in the chambers. There were explanations for all these things, but there was only one thing to say, and the sound of it seemed shallow and meaningless, like supplying a band-aid for a decapitation. "Terry," she said into his severed heart, "I'm sorry." Terry had never been apologized before. He'd never been listened to before. He'd never been allowed to explain before. He'd never been treated like a human before by anyone besides Old, and she was his teacher, not a matrix. Old had taught him well. She had taught him compassion. He felt that now. His matrix had lied to him, but his matrix was in torment. He nodded his acceptance and wanted to make her feel better. Remembering what had made Old feel better, he wished that he had a brush. Since he didn't, he decided to use his fingers. Denise hadn't noticed what he was up to when he went behind her. The gentle pulling of his fingers through her hair startled her at first and then felt good. She surrendered to it and was soothed. "My matrix?" he asked after a while. "Yes, Terry," she said, knowing that a question would follow. "May I ask you a question?" She smiled. Amused, she began, "Of course, Terry," and began for the billionth time to say, "Remember, if I can answer, I will," and then stopped, turning towards him. "Anything," she said, looking up at him. "You could ask him anything." "What is your name?" Terry smiled. The simple question pumped tears to her eyes. She'd never been asked that from any charge before. To a quivering chin, she said, "Lenise," then broke down, letting her tears fall. "Lenise," he repeated. Through water-filled eyes, she saw Terry watch her condensation tears fall down her cheeks. One stopped and clung to her cheek. He reached out to it. When he did, the tear jumped onto his finger. He turned his hand and looked at his finger, then brought the tear to his lips. The tear jumped onto his lips. As it entered his mouth, he discovered its taste and swallowed the bitterness away. Moved by his poetic play, Lenise buried her face to his chest and cried away the last night. There she felt comforted, being gently rocked back and forth within his cradling arms. Dear Ava, you need to know that men and women weren't always separated this way. They lived together as husband and wives. Peace and harmony were hard to achieve, but they worked together for those precious moments. This was a busy day for Nancy, being the third package that she had delivered to Lenise's intercourse room. It was the first package that harbored hope for the revolution. Lenise had Terry answer the door. He brought the package to her, both of them wondering what it could be. Police had not ordered it. She had Terry standing behind her, blocking the monitor's view as she opened it. Taking out an empty bottle, she pulled a message from it. She read it, then not being able to burn it, she ate it. Terry grimaced at her actions, but didn't question it. Letting the packaging fall, she opened the full bottle from the package, poured some of the liquid into the empty one, then discarded the empty bottle and the packaging into the recycle can, as she had used all the contents of this empty bottle and the other bottle had been delivered to replace it. She replaced the full bottle of oil near the bed. When she was through, she went back to Terry, kissed his lips, then reached up towards his ear to whisper, "Let's get into bed." While playing at lovemaking, she whispered to him what the message was about. "Why do you want to help?" he questioned. "I have no choices," she answered. "I see a lot of choices. I want to help now." "What is changing your mind about the way?" "You are," she said, then kissed him passionately. As the time came for her to leave, they were where they couldn't be heard. the shower. You have to trust me, Terry. That what happened the other night will never happen again, she said, offering him the spray. You may be right, the words gargled by the water, but I don't understand why I can't come with you. Where I'm going is unsafe for a charge. Her words weren't fair, and she knew. What is unsafe for a charge, he said the words distastefully, is also unsafe for a matrix. Terry, she cautioned, and became silent as she scrubbed her hair. Her lack of control was making her feel weak. She didn't like the feeling. So then though she had begun to treat Terry as her equal, she didn't like treating her. She didn't like him treating her like his equal. Look, she said after rinsing the suds from her hair, you have to let me go alone. I'm sorry, but that's all there is to it. She ended her sentence louder than she had begun. Terry knew her desperation all too well. Panic had always been an emotion that he couldn't tolerate, and it pained him to see it happening to Lenise. For her sake, he quit the argument, ended it with an apology while he scrubbed her back. Her relief turned into confusion. Though she had won, the victory was hollow. She hadn't convinced him that she was right. He had relented. She hadn't remained in control. Terry had. She didn't want this shallow victory. She wanted to start another fight, a fight that she knew she could win in order to save her pride. Pride? A fight to save her pride? What's pride got to do with this? Turning towards a human who had been oppressed all of his life by the people in whom he needed to put his trust, made her see past the frailty of his gender straight to his strength. Terry, she asked, motioning towards the shower. He shook his head, and she turned on the spray. Why did you take the blame for our argument? He pulled open the door, but didn't step out of the stall. Standing with his hand still holding the door, he couldn't believe that he knew something which his matrix did not. Arguing hurts, he said, then grabbed for their towels. It was better for me to stop the argument in order to stop the pain than it was for me to win, he said, then finished drying off before stepping out of the stall. His illumination sounded like nursery room instruction, strictly taught, quietly listened to, repeated, recited, memorized, but never learned. She wrapped herself in a towel and stepped out of the stall for a hug. Do you see why you shouldn't come with me? She asked while in his arms. He looked down at her and kissed her forehead. No, he said quietly. Neither do I, she said, and left the room. He followed her into their bedroom, where she stood holding a package towards him. He took it with him and sat down on the bed to open it. Looking up from it, he smiled at her. While he put on the flowing white shirt and black tights, Lenise retrieved another package that she'd had Nancy leave outside of their door while Terry was in the toilet room. As he slipped on the tan knee-high moccasins and put the wide belt around his waist, he turned into the swashbuckling hero that old used to read to him about.